Hello and welcome guys, welcome to our course on Python for data analysis. Today's lecture will be talking about built-in modules in Python. But before we get started, you know what to do. Don't forget to like this video, put your question in the comment section and subscribe to the channel.
9 to 5 data.
So let's start by understanding what built-in modules are in Python and how they can be used to enhance our Python programs. Built-in modules, they are pre-written libraries of code that provide various functionalities such as mathematical operations, file input and output, date manipulations, and OS, like accessing the operating system, like doing some file operations and many more. So these modules are included with the Python standard library, so we don't need to install anything and we can just use them without any installation. So by leveraging these built-in modules, we can save time and effort by reusing existing codes rather than trying to reinvent the wheel. So we'll explore some of the common built-in modules in Python, which are math, datetime, and the OS. So we'll explore these libraries or modules and their common methods. So let's go to our Jupyter notebook and start doing some coding. We are going to start with a math module, and to do that, the first thing we need to do is that we need to import the math module. So let's say import the math module. So we'll write the word import math. So we are importing all the classes and objects in this math module. So we just import it directly and we'll run this code. So from now we can access a method called the square root, which we can use to get the square root of a number. So let's say we want to get the square root of a number. So let's say calculate the square root of a number. So we can say number equals to 25, and to get the square root, we already import our math module. Then we use the square root method of the math module. We say math dot, to access the method we use the dot notation. So dot square root sqrt, which takes in a single parameters, and that is the number we are trying to get the square root of, and we say number. So we can save this into a variable and say the square root, and then we'll try and print this. The square root and we should get 5. So we have 5 as the square root of 25. So we can also use another method called the pi method. So let's say we want to get the value of a pi, and sometimes you can use the pi to get the area of a circle, like saying pi r square. To do that, we say calculate value of pi, and to do that we can say pi value equals to math dot pi, and we will print pi value. Then we get 3.145 and so on. So we can also have access to the factorial method in the math module, and sometimes this is used to get the factorial of a number. So if you try to reuse the number we define at the top, or let's get a new number. So let's say factorial num equals 5. So we can say factorial result equals math dot factorial, and it will take in the factorial number. So if we print factorial results, then we have 120. So 5 factorial will give us 120. So that is just some brief explanation about the method we can have access to in the math module. So let's try and also check the date module. So to check the date module, we can say import the datetime module. Import datetime. So another important thing to do when you import a module is to try to give it an alias so that it will be easier for you to use in your code. So for example, instead of just importing this without an alias, we can say import datetime as dt, and we'll run this. So one of the things we can get access to in the datetime is the current date and time. So let's try to get access to the current date and time. Get the current date and time. So we can do dt dot. The method to do that is datetime dot now. So we can now save this into, let's say, current date time. So if we print current date time, it will get us today's date and the time of this recording. So this is the date and the time of this recording, and even to the milliseconds, we have access to that. So that's one aspect of it. So if we would like to get just the current date, which is today's date, we can do that by using the date dot today's method. So to get current date, get current date. So we'll do date time, which is dt dot date and dot today. We'll close the bracket. So we can save this as current date. And then we can print current date, which will give us today's date alone, and we get today's date from this. Also from the date time, you can have access to the time alone by using the time method. So another important thing we can do with the date time is that we can pass in the date we want, and it will be converted to a date value. Like we can give a custom date or a custom time. So let's start with a custom date. So let's save this into a variable custom date equals to dt dot, we use the date method, date, and then we'll supply the date value we want. So let's say, and this follows the format of year, month, and day. So we'll say 2023, comma, August, which is the 8th month, comma, let's say 15. And if we print this custom date, then we have the dates that we just supply. So we can do the same thing for time. So just using the time method, so we can say custom time equals dt dot time. then we'll supply the time, which is, let's say, 12, 30, 15. So this also follows the format of hour, minute, and seconds. So then if we print the custom time, then we have the time we have just supplied. So that's just some of the important method in the date module, the datetime module. We also have the OS module, which is also an important module in Python programming. So let's try and import that. So let's say import the OS module. So we'll say import OS. And there are a lot of things we can do with OS. For example, we have the method for us to get the current working directory. And to do that, we can say, let's say, get the current working directory. So we say current dir r. We can now say OS, and the method we want to get is the method to get the current working directory is get cwd, which is a short form of current working directory. So get cwd, and it doesn't take any parameter. So let's print our current working directory. Current dir, and this is my working directory, and for yours it will be different because it will get the working directory of your local computer, your local system. Also, we can get the list of files in our working directory. So to get list of files in the current working directory, get list of files in the current working directory. So the list of files and the directories in the current directory. So to do that, we use the list dir method. So let's just say files and dirs, which is directories. So os.list dirl. So if we print the files and directories, so these are the files in our current working folder. So we can see a lot of files here, and with the extension of the file. So this is all the files we have in our current working folder or directory. So another thing we can do with the OS directory is that we can create a new directory. So let's say create a new directory. So we can save that into a variable new dir equals to. So let me say new add awk. So then we use the make directory method, which is the mkdir. So now we'll say os.mkdir .mkdir, and then we pass in the name of our new directory, so which is new dir. So we can print to see if it actually exists. So we'll now say print So then we'll run this and we'll check later to see if it actually exists in our current working folder or if there's actually a path for it in our local computer. So let's run this. So to check if the path exists or the new directories we have created actually got created, so we use another method in the OS module, which is path.exist method. So we'll start with checking if the path exists. So checking if the path exists. So what we'll do is get the name of the path, which we already know, which is our new dir. So we'll start with an if condition. If os.path.exist, then we'll give it the new dir. It takes in the argument of the path we are trying to check if it exists. So if it is existing, what we want to do? We want to print path new dir exists. So if it doesn't exist, else, what do we want to do? We want to print path. So we want to print path new dir doesn't exist. Exists. So I'm using double quotation now since I have an apostrophe. So let's run this. So once we run that, we see that it's saying path new ad hoc exist. So because we've created it earlier, now it is existing in our working directory. So if what we created earlier did not work, so we get the error message, the path doesn't exist. So with the OS module, we can perform various files and directory operations such as navigating directories, listing, just like we have done. We have come to the end of this course, and there are a lot of Python modules out there. So for the purpose of this course, this is just the ones we'll be discussing because they are just enough to get us to be able to do some data analysis with Python. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and put your question in the comment section. I'll see you in the next lesson.